of the awardees of the prestigious award that I was told earlier as well. To that mentor, to those mentor, because they are not just one. Here I am, standing loud and standing proud, about to graduate, and then thank you for all of your efforts, for all of the knowledge that you have imparted me, and I hope to sail with you soon, sailing the high seas.
Ano kaya ang greatest lesson niya sa loob ng academy at ano-ano naman ang kanyang future plans?
One of the most basic things that we're always told is to live one day at a time. We got that from our president. We are all reminded by it. And for me, while being on board, stuck in this pandemic, no shore leaves and anything, just on board the ship, I learned that you just live it one day at a time, and then suddenly you'll remember that, hey, I'm already finished with my contract. And then once it's finished contract, it's another achievement for you. So for whatever future plans we may have, if you do it one day at a time and then slowly move towards a goal, we can achieve it. As for now, my future plans is to become a future maritime officer. After this, hoping after getting my transcript of records, I'll take the exam, pass, and then hopefully get my first contract as an officer.
Sa kabilang banda, di rin nagpahuli ang henyo na si Mark Lester Rakim na tumanggap sa award ng Best in Math and Science. Narito ang panayam.
I didn't expect for this award, sir, because there's no application for this award, and I'm so happy, sir, that when the award is given, sir, to me, sir, I didn't expect this. Sir, and that's why I'm very happy, sir, when I received the award. I really love studying math and science.
Nabanggit din ni Rakim ang hangarin nitong maglingkod sa MAAP.
After maybe 5 to 10 years, I'll get my master degree or doctor degree. Then I'll go back here in Maritime Academy of Asia and the Pacific and teach cadets or become an instructor.
Naging makulay ang araw ng pagtatapos ng Batch 2 Allegiance Class of 2021. Patunay ang kanilang mga istorya na ang MAAP ay globally competent maritime school.
Ang bawat bayaning Pilipinong magdaragat, may kaagapay, may kaibigan, may kakampi, may kasangga, may kabalikat. Ang iyong Associated Marine Officers and Seamen's Union of the Philippines. Kasama mo sa tunay na malasakit dahil AMUSUC cares. The Maritime Academy of Asia and the Pacific continues to sail forward with modern facility, active cadet sponsorships, advanced education and trainings. And as the premier maritime academy in the country, be a future world-class marine officers. Be at MAAP, ensuring excellence at sea at all times.
Women have served all these centuries as looking glasses, possessing the power of reflecting the figure of man at twice its natural size. Sa mga nagdaang henerasyon ng marino, marami ng kababaihan ang nakilala, tumayo at nagpakitang gilas sa kanilang karera bilang mga matatag na marina. Sila ang naging inspirasyon ng bagong henerasyon ngayon upang tahakin ang landas ng isang marinong lumanayag sa gitna ng karagatan. Narito ang kwento ng isang proud na kadeteng tumayo at handang maging inspirasyon sa mga kababaihan.
Since day one, it's been really hard talaga eh. Even though na we have to, even now they said now we get privileges for year after year, it's still the same challenges. And it differs. Siguro I can say na physically lang siguro yung differences, but yung challenge din, yung struggle academically, mentally, and socially din, it goes halos the same lang din talaga. Until shipboard, it's the same. So all the experiences apply until now actually. Actually, it feels surreal kasi since PM, hindi ko naman din expected na, hindi ko din na-foresee na magdadakwait ako like what I'm doing now.
Noong unang tapak ni Rabelas sa MAAP, ay di naging biro ang kanyang pinagdaanang hirap. Ano na kaya ngayon ang pagbabago sa buhay ng kadete?
Nung first day ko dito, nung I was 18 back then, wala akong idea, wala akong alam. I have, very blank talaga yung idea ko pagdating sa academy, sa seafaring industry. Puro ate, kuya silang lahat sa amin. And ngayon, I feel like I'm an adult na talaga. hirap man tanggapin. Pero I feel like an adult kasi I've been working with adult people also in the ship, and yun, and there, you have your juniors na yun yung dapat naming iniisip talaga, na everything we say, everything we do, kung ano yung sinushow namin is yun talaga yung nag-exemplify na sample sa juniors. So we have to be responsible about it.
Sino naman kaya ang naging inspirasyon niya upang ipagpatuloy ang nasimulang landas?
Pinaka-inspiration ko is my family. Same with my mom and my dad who's very supportive talaga since day one. Like, alam ko na super proud sila nung nakaapak ako dito. Pero at the same time, mas tanggap din nila kung kaya ko ba. They're also concerned about my mental health, sa health ko talaga. So, syempre, yung pumupunta dito na pressure, pero ang parents ko iba. Kahit sobrang proud sila dito, sabi nila, pag kaya mo, kung hindi mo kaya, balik ka lang, magsabi ka lang sa amin. Sa akin, yun talaga yung nagmo-motivate sa akin na, bakit very accepted talaga ako nila. So, go pa lang ako ng go. Hanggat kaya ko, go pa lang.
Bilang isang babae, isa rin ang naging inspirasyon ni Rabelas ang kanyang mga female seniors na tumulong sa kanya upang umusad pasulong. Ano naman kaya ang mensahe niya sa mga aspiring women seafarers?
Speaking of being a woman po, actually it's very important. It's very particular din ng mga tao, especially sa seafaring industry. So it's a big deal na pagbabae ka. But eventually, from what I have observed, they're starting to embrace naman na ang career is to welcome more and more women. As a woman, ang dami ko din na experience na parang differences by the treatment. Pero actually, what you have to do is prove yourself lang naman talaga. And what inspires me the most is in being a female seafarer was also my seniors na babae rin. Because I still remember like when I was still a plebe pa, I will look up to my senior females kasi lalo na yung bumabalik from shipboard na super inspiring kasi kinakwento nila yung mga experiences nila na hindi mo din naman ma-expect na pagdating ko, ganun din pala yung mangyayari sa akin. So, lahat yon natutunan ko na experience na i-apply ko rin nung time ko na siya. Don't be scared. Try lang because there will be people naman na, wag kayo masyadong magpa-apekto sa stereotype because ngayon it's very modern na ngayon and ang tao they're getting to be more and more accepting also and very open-minded na rin. So, don't be scared to try and...
Suena, balance, mapuerza. Este el RPND XXX, Radio Ronda Zamboanga.
This is Radio Philippines Network, DXXX Zamboanga, DXXX Zamboanga. Pass it on, pass it on, pass it on, pass it on. This is Radio Philippines Network, DXXX Zamboanga, DXXX Zamboanga. The Great 108, pass it on.
RPN, Radio Philippines Network, Radio Ronda.
DXXX Zamboanga.
Member, kapisanan ng mga broadcaster ng Pilipinas.
COVID-19 cases are on the rise and at nearly 900 in today's tally. A doctors group says hospitals are keeping watch, while research experts say holiday gatherings may not be the cause for this uptick in infections. 5 months away from the big day, the Commission on Elections simulates the 2022 polls from voting to transmission of votes, complete with health protocols. And with the clock counting down to New Year's Eve, Filipinos are rushing to buy medianoche staples. We'll check how sales are going for fruits and ham and a popular favorite, lechon. When new cases were at 899, active cases are now over 10,400, excluding data from 3 laboratories. More than 200 patients recovered, 28 others died. The independent research group Octa says today's tally is lower than its projected range of 1,200, but it's still a significant increase from the previous days. Octa says this may likely increase further before the new year. It also estimates over 300 of these new cases are from Metro Manila alone. The group warns of a potential rise in COVID cases in the capital region after the daily positivity rate increased on Monday to more than 5% for the first time since October. The positivity rate refers to the percentage of all COVID-19 tests performed that turned out to be positive. Octa adds NCR's reproduction number, or the number of individuals an infected person can pass the virus to, also increased to 1.03 as of December 25th and may still rise to 1.39 if the current trend continues. Octa said there is now concern that this is not just a holiday uptick. A doctors group is also sounding the alarm and increasing COVID cases. The group says the rise in new cases is worrisome since cases increased to over 100%.
Ensuring that we don't increase this number further. We have actually seen also the slight increase in the number of cases that are being seen in the emergency room. There were even days wherein, like let's say we see 10 cases and then out of the 10 cases, we see 5 of those people turning out to be positive. So that's really being felt quite in reality, in the hospitals. And this is actually causing a lot of worries for us because we know that we need to really brace up for the possible surge if the behavior of people continue to be the same.
Health experts and officials, as well as Malacanang, are advising the public to continue adhering to minimum public health standards, including the proper wearing of masks. The palace reiterates authorities can escalate alert levels anytime if necessary in areas where there is a spike in cases. Authorities have tracked down the close to people who have come into contact with a patient aboard her flight back to Manila last December 10th. That includes her husband, who already tested positive for COVID-19. The new variant is now in over 100 countries. Early studies show Omicron causes mild disease but more transmissible than the other variants. A group of hospitals is holding off its so-called, its call for the so-called PhilHealth holiday. The Private Hospitals Association made the announcement following a meeting and hearing request from concerned patients and citizens. The group earlier planned to stop accepting claims from state health insurer PhilHealth from January 1 to 5 in a show of support to hospitals that have decided to cut ties with the agency because of its failure to pay claims. Private hospitals have long complained about the mounting unpaid claims to the agency, which they said affected their operations amid the pandemic. PhilHealth admitted delays in its payments, but said it is working to improve its processes, especially
bile to help break down mainly fats when you eat. You need bile to break down fats, which are actually one of the hardest parts of the food to digest. And when you break down the fats, you transform it into energy that the body can use. Today on the program, we'll talk about how to keep your gallbladder in good health to avoid the likelihood of problems such as inflammation and gallstones. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez, and this is MedTalk Health Talk on CNN Philippines. The gallbladder is a key component of our digestive system, and our guests are here today to tell us more about how it works, what it's for, and why we need to ensure that our gallbladder is healthy. With us is Dr. Catherine Te. She's the Chief of Hepatobiliary and Pancreatic Center in Makati Medical Center and the President of the Philippine Hepatobiliary Surgeons. Also with us is Dr. Ira Inductivo Yu. She is a gastroenterologist from National Kidney and Transplant Institute and Diliman Doctors Hospital and the president of the Philippine Society of Gastroenterology. Now, when someone eats fatty food, your gallbladder receives a signal to react. I'll start first with Dr. Kathy. How does it all work? Please explain to our viewers yung basic functions ng ating gallbladder o ang ating abdo.
Well, technically, the gallbladder is a storage. It's a reservoir. You know, it stores the bile because the bile is secreted in the liver, and then it is 80% of it is stored in the gallbladder. Once we eat, there is some signal that is sent to the gallbladder to stimulate it, and then it will send the bile or push the bile down into the biliary tract to bring the bile down to the intestines for digestion, to help in the digestive process. So technically, it's just a reservoir.
But bile has other functions as well. Dr. Ira, let's talk about that next. Some of the other functions ng bile natin.
The bile also facilitates digestion of other nutrients, and particularly when it comes to vitamins, it facilitates the digestion and absorption of fat-soluble vitamins like vitamin A, D, E, and K.
Now, we keep hearing time and time again to eat healthy, and here are more reasons why. Because certain foods can actually protect and promote a healthy gallbladder. Dr. Kathy, pag-usapan naman natin, what are these gallbladder-friendly foods naman?
We know that we need to have a good diet, a balanced diet. And basically, everything that is less fatty will be healthy for the gallbladder. Because when there is an imbalance in the amount of fat, for example, cholesterol, and then the bile salts, when there is a difference in the concentration, that's when gallstones develop. And therefore, foods that are less fatty are the ones that are healthy to the gallbladder. Okay. So that's in a general sense, no? Right. But there are some certain kinds of food, for example, fish, sardines, leafy vegetables, and these are very good food for the gallbladder.
Now, when you look at the list that was shown to you, you can see a variety of protein and vitamin-rich food. And these are a mix of food items that can also make you enjoy your meals at the same time. Now, fruits and vegetables are especially full of nutrients as well as fiber. So incorporate these into your diet, not just to keep the gallbladder healthy, but they're good for the overall health of your body. Now, Dr. Ira, pag-usapan naman natin yung mga food items na pwedeng mag-increase ng likelihood ng mga problema sa gallbladder. So what are some of the foods that our viewers should avoid naman?
Anything that is very high in fat, anything that is very high in oil, the processed foods, we should try to avoid them. Avoiding this type of food will decrease the likelihood for patients to have gallbladder stones or gallbladder sludge. And if it so happens that you already have the stones there, if you try to avoid, again, oily processed foods, there's now a decreased likelihood for you to have inflammation of your gallbladder. So stay away from them. Stay away from eating too much lechon and sisig, and try your vegetables and fruits. So even if there's a fiesta and the Christmas break is coming, try to control the urge to divulge too much, to indulge yourself too much on fatty foods.
Ultimately, we want to avoid gallbladder problems such as gallstones or the inflammation of the gallbladder, and our food choices can make or break that situation. So how do we treat these various conditions? We'll find out when we return. So stay with us on MedTalk Health Talk, only here on CNN Philippines. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez, and welcome back to MedTalk Health Talk on CNN Philippines, where caring is our calling. Your gallbladder works to store and release your bile, a fluid that helps the body break down and digest the food that you eat, in particular fat. Fat takes longer to digest than other foods, but you need it. It supports several of your body's functions and gives your body that energy that it needs. It's in our best interest to keep our gallbladder healthy throughout the food we eat. Dr. Kathy, explain natin sa mga viewers kung ano ba talaga ang mga gallstones. How does it form?
That's really the most common problem that we encounter, the gallstones. No, basically the bile has to maintain a certain balance in the concentration of the fats and the bile salts and water. So if there is a critical elevation of one component, for example, cholesterol, mataas ang level ng cholesterol, then the formation of cholesterol stones can happen in the gallbladder.
Now, another thing that may disrupt this balance that Dr. Kathy mentioned is that of skipping meals. Dr. Ira, is the practice of skipping meals, can this increase the likelihood of one person developing gallstones?
Yes, you're right. Apparently it is. In fact, if you look at the literature, people engaging themselves on crash diets are at higher risk for developing gallstones. So even if this strategy is very effective for weight loss reduction, it has another side to it. And that's what we do not want. If you indulge yourself in too fast weight reduction, in too prolonged intermittent fasting, in the long run, you might end up with gallbladder sludge.
Gallstones themselves are not necessarily the problem, and if they're not bothering you, most of the time, they don't need to be surgically removed, but they may not go away on their own. That's why I'd like to ask Dr. Ira, for those who may be concerned that they already have bile stones, is it proper for our viewers to probably, even though they don't feel any symptoms, to have a check with their doctor if they do have beginning gallstones? Is this something that they should be worried about?
Yeah, definitely yes. Okay, anything that is not supposed to be in the body should be treated and should be seen by a doctor, and that would include your gallbladder stone. In fact, these stones, even if they are there, patients should be advised properly on how to prevent inflammation of the gallbladder and what to do if ever inflammation occurs. Now, there are certain patients that should be looked into more closely because these are patients that might develop more severe complications of gallbladder. And this basically would include the diabetic patients and the elderly patients, and even patients who are on chemotherapy or immunosuppressants because they have higher tendency for infection to set in. So these are the patients that we should be looking more intently.
Now, Dr. Ira, you mentioned quite a few other comorbid conditions, ibang mga sakit like diabetes for one. Another question is, namamana ba itong mga gallbladder stones?
There are some risk factors that have been identified that would increase the risk for gallbladder inflammation when a stone is present. And this would include, first and foremost, the age. Apparently, the older you get, the higher your tendency to have cholecystitis or gallbladder wall inflammation. And they usually ascribe it to an increase in biliary cholesterol secretion in the bile. And the fact that as you age also, unfortunately, the gallbladder emptying time is also lessened. So if you try to connect these two factors together, then there you go. You have a higher tendency for cholecystitis. Now, some also would say that if you had a prior history of a stroke or a cardio or a cerebrovascular disease, you have a higher tendency for cholecystitis. But the connection and the reasoning behind it, although not fully elucidated, is there. So I think these are the people that you should again intently monitor for signs and symptoms of gallbladder complications.
Could you share with our viewers what are some of the usual warning signs that someone may have a gallbladder that needs immediate medical or surgical treatment for that matter?
Unfortunately, most of our patients with gallbladder, they don't feel anything bad. In fact, a lot of them, they will just have it incidentally diagnosed during a general checkup. However, for those who develop symptoms, the usual complaint is bloatedness, or they have this heavy feeling in the tiyan nila, mabigat, makabag. Now, for some patients, they may have pain, colicky pain on and off for several months that they will just dismiss as just having peptic ulcer disease or gastritis. Now, for the more complicated scenarios, these patients could have persistent abdominal pain. They can have even jaundice. They can have inflammation of the pancreas. They can even have sepsis because of cholangitis. Okay. Now, where is the pain usually located? So naturally, if the gallbladder becomes inflamed, the pain is localized in the right upper quadrant or in the middle of the abdomen. These are the usual reasons why they go to the clinic.
Okay, now Dr. Ira, as a follow-up to that, if someone feels those symptoms already, does medical treatment have a role here, or is it most often than not a surgical case by this time?
If the patient comes to you already with cholecystitis, the recommendation is admit, give antibiotics, and do the cholecystectomy, ideally within the same hospital admission.
Okay. The best thing here is don't wait too long. So go see a doctor when you experience any of these problems. Don't set it aside or don't think it may go away on its own. So if surgery is the only option to treat this condition, what does life look like without a gallbladder? We'll discuss this after a short break. Your health is our mission here on MedTalk Health Talk. You're watching CNN Philippines. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez, and this is MedTalk Health Talk, your partner in healthcare. Your gallbladder can be removed if necessary. Now, people without it can live a normal and healthy life. But this means your body isn't able to store bile in your gallbladder anymore because it has been removed. And as a result, some dietary changes are recommended at first to help your body adapt. Dr. Ira, what if someone has their gallbladder removed but still continues to eat a high-fat diet? Are there any further complications that may happen? Just to remind our viewers that eating healthy is definitely a plus.
Of course, it's not only the gallbladder that is affected by a high-fat diet. Remember, the liver, can have fatty deposition. In fact, we should eat healthy. We have to really lessen the fat for good health. Fatty liver is now a worldwide. It's a silent pandemic. And our notion before is it's just fatty liver. It will not kill me. But the problem is it's a progressive disease. And for all we know, we might end up with a lot of liver fibrosis or liver cirrhosis. So even if you do not have the gallbladder, even if you're not concerned with gallbladder stone because there's no gallbladder to begin with, you have to take care of your liver. You have to take care of your heart. And there is also such a thing as common bile duct stone. So I think you should eat healthy. Okay, try to lessen the fatty foods.
As a reminder to our viewers to always eat healthy because it will not only manage the presence of problems with your gallbladder, but with your liver, your heart, and your whole body in general. Now, I'd like to ask Dr. Kathy, when it comes to problems with the gallbladder, ang problema lang ba ay stones or can infection and inflammation also be a cause for concern when it comes to our gallbladder? And when it comes to the stones, sa gallbladder lang ba sila nakikita?
That's very important for our viewers to know because the stones can cause the infection. Now, sometimes there's also what we call as a acalculous cholecystitis, where there's no stone, but there's infection in the gallbladder. So these needs to be treated as well. And the stones, sometimes they're not only in the gallbladder. So if this migrates, the patient can turn jaundice. They will become yellow and they can develop fever. Ito yung tinatawag na cholangitis. So we don't want patients to develop cholangitis, which is infection within the biliary system.
Now, before we go, I'd like to ask Dr. Ira, are there any tips that you could share with our viewers when it comes to not just gallbladder health, but liver health as well?
Unfortunately, fatty liver is becoming one of the more common reasons now for liver cirrhosis. So we need to stop as early as possible, need to stop this bad habit of eating lots of fatty foods. Second, we need to regulate and avoid too much alcohol consumption. So if you can control your urge to drink alcohol, you have to control it right now. And then, of course, vaccinate. So we need to maximize the opportunity that we have to vaccinate ourselves and our family. We all need it. And then, of course, have your regular checkup. As physicians, we would like to see you in our clinic just for a good annual checkup. We don't like to see you with a very sick liver already. So please consult early.
Dr. Kathy, is there anything you'd like to add? Any advice for the viewers before we go?
Sometimes we do not take too much into account the diet of our children. And parang, oh, bata pa yan eh, pwede to. But in reality, the healthy lifestyle should start while they're young so that they develop into a good habit.
Maraming salamat, hepatobiliary surgeon Dr. Catherine Tay and gastroenterologist Dr. Ira Indoctivo Yu for being with us today. We appreciate your time and insights very much. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez and thank you for watching MedTalk Health Talk on CNN Philippines. We'll see you again next time. Stay safe.